Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be reviewing The Flash Season 8 Episode 10 titled Reckless. This will be my full review of it. If you enjoyed the video, hit the button down below, subscribe if you're new, turn notifications on, and we're going to get right into it because I liked this episode. I know a lot of people didn't, but I liked it. So it opened up in Coast City with Iris and Dion talking about what's going on with Iris, which was led into from last episode, and where Dion says nothing good that's going on with Iris. Time is fracturing around Iris. Like we've seen, she's going in and out of the timeline, just going from the past to the future and back and forth. The sickness isn't in Iris, it's coming for Iris. She's the center, or, it's drawn to Iris for whatever reason. And Iris called Barry to let him know. And it's apparently happening because of what Dion did to Iris during Armageddon. Even though it's not our timeline, it was still our Iris. So what happened. They can't change that. But when Dion took away all the treatments that he gave Iris during Armageddon to find out what really happened to Joe and Thawne and all that stuff, it ended up causing Iris to go through this. So I'm glad it connected to Armageddon and not some random crap. Dion wanted Iris to stay in Coast City so that she's not running back and forth to Central City, because doing that could very well cause something to happen. And he wants Iris to stay on the down low, not do anything, just stays put. Otherwise, she can have an episode in the middle of nowhere and, it'd be kind of weird. Bear was gonna move out to Coast City with Iris to stay out with her. But Iris wanted Bear to focus on the Black Flame because if it doesn't stop anytime soon, it's going to get a lot worse, which it would. And then we go to Frost doing art in her apartment, and she started sweating, which never happened before. And it was because the Black Flame showed up and attacked her. Barry tells Allegra and Cecile, Chester, and Joe about Iris, and then Frost found out. Then they got an SR-37 alert, meaning someone broke into the med lab. Why they call it SR-37, I didn't get that, but I'm assuming it's something. And it was Frost, apparently, who set off the alarm. And Bear's trying to figure out why the flame followed Frost home after 24 hours of the attack from last episode. So the time frame between that scene and the whole thing we had going on with the Black Flame last episode, it's the 24-hour period in between. Bear wanted to search Frost's apartment to find out if he can find anything. I think he said he didn't. Frost goes to Caitlin's mother, Carla, and Frost wants Carla to help use Frost herself as bait to draw the flame out using her cold powers to, figure it out. So Frost and Carla try to convince Barry of that. He's not pushing for it. Carla believes the flame is hunting Frost to refuel itself because it's cold fusion. And the only way that could really work to harness cold fusion is to harness other cold fusion. So they're thinking that he's running like a car. Like how cars can't last long before they die, unless you fill it up with gas. Their thing is like that. The fusion sphere, Carla wants them to make a fusion containment which would hold it, and the fusion sphere from the artificial speed force is enough to do that. So they already have what they need, it's just Barry's not doing it, and it's all up to Barry because he's team leader, and they're not going to do it without Barry's say, because if something goes wrong, they're all dead. So you would kind of need Barry to be focused on it. Frost tried to convince Barry and mentioned how Iris isn't standing down when she's supposed to, or when she got attacked. And Frost wants Barry to give her a chance to help save the world and help save dozens, upon hundreds of thousands of millions of people. And Barry ends up doing it, going along with it. And then goes to Carla offering Chester a job because of how smart he is and all that. Everything's set up, Frost gets ready, the sphere's amplifying the cold in Frost to draw the thing in, the flame in, whatever the hell it is. And it was mentioned that it's like honey on a fly trap, like the fly's just going right in for it and it gets stuck on it. It dies instantly. So that's more, this thing ain't gonna die, it's gonna be trapped forever. The Black Flame appears at Star Labs and is going after Frost, the Flame knew what it was planning. It didn't go anywhere near that sphere. It was just hovering over on the ceiling, and Frost was trying to antagonize it, and the Flame a little bit attacked Frost, not much, but it was to the point where she went unconscious. She didn't really get burned, I think it was said, but she did get unconscious from it. Kate returns to check on Frost. Caitlin is annoyed at Frost and Carla for setting this whole thing up. Barry checked the city. The Flame wasn't there. So he left the city. The Thing left the city. So you would wonder, what the hell. Then we go to Coast City, and they're trying to find Tina's mother, and they hit a roadblock at the adoption center, and Sue's uncle apparently ran the company, so they could use that connection to find her mother, and they ended up doing that. And then the person who's running the adoption center at the desk goes away for a good minute, comes back, and everything is gone besides the desk and the computer. I'm pretty sure that was it. It was weird. You would think Tanya would have done something, because it's how the hell could everything just disappear? That would probably be a connection to something else down the line, obviously. Frost wants Colorado to continue working on the sphere with Chester, even though Kate didn't want to. And then we get Joe talking to Bear, which again, one of the best scenes in all the episodes is Joe talking to Barry, like it always is. It's been that since season 1. All these episodes with Joe and Barry is always a highlight of the episode. That's what it always has been like. Not just this season or last season, but literally since season 1. I think we can all agree on that, hopefully. And Joe tells Barry that he thinks that Barry doesn't want Frost to do it because it's connected to Iris. And what he means by that is Barry's focused on Iris, what's going on with her. He doesn't want anyone else to be risking their lives more than they already are, and Barry not be able to help them, because he knows Iris won't listen to Barry, and he won't listen to Joe either, so she's kind of just, going at it. But if he can prevent Frost from killing herself, he's going to try to do it, again, because of what's going on with Iris. Joe told Barry that sometimes he has to let go and trust people he's worked so hard to train do what they want to do, in faith that what he's trained them to do will be enough to save them and keep them alive. Carla talked to Caitlin and changed her mind, and changed her mind. Carla mentioned Thomas and how much Frost is like him, or how much Frost is like Thomas, not the Icicle version, but the actual Thomas version. Frost thinks she's just a bodyguard for Kate, and Carla said she's a big part of Team Flash and Carla's life, which she is. So I'm glad. This episode, I know people were saying it's kind of like a filler. I didn't see that, because it was connected to the story in a big way. And we'll talk about that in a couple minutes, why it was really big connected to the story, but I didn't have a problem with this episode. I don't get why people did. Maybe it's too much Frost for people, but if you really can't handle that, quit watching. Simple as that. There's no reason to hate on these actors, these writers, this season, this episode alone, when it was pretty damn good, but people are too busy nitpicking on how many scenes Frost had compared to Barry. And it's you guys gotta grow up. I'm not saying people who watch this video do that. I mean, if you do, you need to grow up. But, there's a specific standard here where if you can't stand a character on the show and you're really gonna nitpick every episode, either A, ignore that character, or B, if you're gonna nitpick every episode, quit watching. Quit ruining it for everyone who's trying to actually enjoy the damn show. If all you're gonna do is hate on this show for little things like, oh, Barry had less scenes than Frost, quit watching. Just quit. Those people piss me off, and it's getting old. So I know those people won't quit, because they're going to keep being annoying little brats that they are. But if you're really going to complain about how many scenes one person has compared to the other, quit watching. If you're really stupid to that level, you're going to act that childish, quit watching the show. Quit ruining for everyone else who's actually trying to enjoy it. Kind of went on a little rant there. I don't really care. Nothing new on this channel. So, Carla finally mentions that she has a potential for cold powers. Remember season 5 at the end of the Icicle episode where we saw Thomas die by Cicada 2, I think it was. we found out that Carla had powers, or the adaptation for powers, and we finally got that back. And Carla wants to use herself and Frost to double the sphere to get more of a chance to draw the flame closer into that sphere to contain it. The Black and Carla and Frost do this, they get it all set up, and the Black Fire appeared back in the city downtown, and Carla tells Barry about her coal signature, and Barry offers to help control them when she's ready, to help control Carla's powers when she's ready, and she needs it. The flame goes right towards Star Labs, goes into the Speed Lab where Frost and Carla are, and the flame is being contained in the sphere, and then we see a black skull, a massive black skull, appearing in that flame, and it's like grunting, screaming. Well, not screaming, but it's grunting, and it's freaky as hell, and it's being sucked into the sphere. And Carla was going into cardiac arrest, but she didn't care, so Frost pulled the plug to save Carla. And that was it. The flame got away and all that. Joe and Cecile couldn't find anything to help them in Kramer's files from old cases. They were trying to figure out if there was a connection. They couldn't find anything. Barry mentioned the sphere can now be used without bait. They don't need Carla and Frost to be there to use the sphere. It's just on its own now, which is good. They can try to capture the thing that way. Caitlin's been telling Marcus everything that happened because he doesn't want him involved. And Carla feels bad for not being a part of Frost's life all this time. Then we go back to Iris, Tina, and Sue, and they're where her mother should be, and she is, and they're talking and all that. And Iris has an episode, and Tina's mother touched Iris's hand, and then she just disappeared. No idea where the hell or when she went, but you have to assume she time traveled, because you touch Iris and she's having an episode. Obviously, she went somewhere. I mean, so that's how it's going to be a thing, and Tina's blaming Iris, which why wouldn't she? And then we go to Caitlin, and the flame, started flickering the power. Caitlin thought it was Frost, and, just playing joke on Caitlin. And it got really hot in the room, and then the flame said the exact line that Ronnie said to Caitlin before the particle star went off, and they showed a flashback to it. And then the episode ends there. So, this flame is Ronnie. I think we all knew that from the get-go, considering how many times they teased Ronnie. And also, if you really wanted more tie-ins, at the beginning of the episode, when Barry and Frost are talking in the med lab, the music in the background, when Barry left and was focusing on Frost, the camera was, that music in the background was the music that was always played when Ronnie was ever on screen. Most, 90% of the time, that's when it was used. So there was another tie-in that this was Ronnie. Now, what the hell this is, I have no idea. I thought this would be Deathstorm and not our Ronnie. But if it was Deathstorm, it wouldn't have tried to kill Frost. So this 100% is not Earth 2 Ronnie or Deathstorm. This is not any version of Deathstorm. This is 100% our Ronnie. How the hell he's alive? If he's been alive for the past 7 years, I guess, since 123, but they just never found him? Or maybe he's been dead, but Oliver brought him back through Crisis, and Ronnie's just been hiding out somewhere? I mean, how the hell is that going to tie in? I'm all for it, though. I'm not complaining, but if this flame really is Ronnie, which I would say is 99.98% sure right now, but at the same time, we know this flame is known to confuse people and make them think that they're seeing someone they're not. Even though we didn't actually see Ronnie, we just saw the skull, the black skull, which we saw earlier in the episode, which would make you think, okay, this thing actually is Ronnie. There could be so many reasons for it not to be Ronnie. But let's assume it is. Like I said, it's not Deathstorm. If this thing was Deathstorm, it wouldn't have tried to attack Frost. It wouldn't have, period. But because it's going after Caitlin and not attacking her, actually like trying to work with her, this thing is Ronnie. It is our Ronnie. The Ronnie we knew in season 1, the one that died to save Barry and the entire world. Like, that is that Ronnie. That is our Ronnie. And I'm really curious to see if it's because of a crisis change, that maybe Ronnie lived and he just had these powers and he's just a flame now. Or is something happened to where he came back and it was by another big bad? Because we are set up to get another big bad this season. Eric Wallace has said that a few times. We are set up to get another big bad this season. So I'm wondering, maybe the Black Flame, if it is Ronnie, which again, 99.90% sure it is now, unless they're really gonna twist it, assuming it's Ronnie, believing it's Ronnie, knowing that it's Ronnie. What if this thing, the reason it's happening, is because some other character brought Ronnie back and now he's just a flame, and it's because of whatever the next big bad is brought Ronnie back from the dead. Now, we know there's a big bad coming that can bring people back from the dead. We've known that for a while. So, you would think, okay, there's two big bads, this one's one of them, Ronnie's one of them. Could Ronnie be coming back because the next big bad brought him back and now he's a big bad? I mean, that would make perfect sense to me. I mean, it would be a really good tie-in and keep on going, because we have Interlude Part 2 happening in episode 15, 16, and 17, 18's the finale, as far as we're aware, unless things change. So we're really, really going to be dealing with, are we going to end the Black Flame storyline here and go into another big bad in episode 12? And go up till 15, which would be a 3-episode storyline, which wouldn't be new, especially with what they're doing. Because episode 11 doesn't seem like the finale for the Black Flame, but it very well could be. And then we could be going into another big bad and then Interlude Part 2, and then the finale of the season. I could see that being the case. Who knows? Overall thoughts of the episode, I really loved it. I think it was a good episode. It wasn't as good as last week's, but it was definitely a good episode nonetheless. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the episode. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video whenever that is. So, yeah. I'll see you guys then. Thanks, guys.